After the attack on Pearl Harbor, the U.S. government passed the Executive Order 9066. It gave permission to the U.S. military to establish certain areas as military zones, which helped clear the way for the internment of Japanese Americans on the West Coast.
During that time, Japanese Americans were told that they would have around 30 days to leave their home, and it was still unknown to them where they would be staying or for how long. They were also only allowed to bring whatever they could carry, and the next thing they knew, they were put in the middle of nowhere, had to build their own communities, and from here on now, the only place they were allowed to be themselves was inside the camp.
It is important for us to realize that the people interned in these camps were Americans, and the fact that they were put inside a camp for not doing anything wrong means that the same thing could happen to any of us. Even though this topic is rarely talked about by the public, there are still efforts toward reminding people of what had happened. During our visit to Manzanar, we met some incredible people who are trying to rebuild the camp so more people can come and learn about this side of American history.
Hi, I'm Katie Bishop. I'm the Cultural Resources Intern here at Manzanar National Historic Site. So I am an archaeologist by trade. I have a minor in biology, but I think I really got into Japanese internment because I'm half Japanese American, and cultural resources specifically because you get to work on these beautiful places, these sites. You get to do historic preservation and really bring things back to life. And that's really one of my favorite things about it is we don't just do this for us, we don't just do it for people now, we do it for the future and those kids so that when these sites are here, that story isn't lost. It's perpetuated by generations. What was explained to me is that it's a very shameful time and embarrassing. I think it's something that my grandparents look back on and they never spoke about because it's not a great time in their lives. And to be American and put in a place like this, you kind of question, a lot of your values that you hold. And I think it's something that personally, if you had to uproot your whole life and give everything away and move here, how would you feel sharing your personal space? You have no privacy, and you're thought of differently now. So it kind of changes that dynamic. And I think we don't talk about it, but we really should. As a descendant community, it's so important for us to actually be that voice and speak loudly for the stories that have kind of been lost to time.
My name is Dave Goto. I work for the Cultural Resources Department here at Manzanar. I work in historic preservation. I've known about Manzanar since I was little. My family was here during the time of incarceration. This subject actually got really quieted down after World War II. It actually wasn't taught very much in public schools. A lot of people I meet from the East Coast had never heard about incarceration until they come out and they visit the West and they see Manzanar or they see kind of the other places that you can go. So I don't think a lot of Asian Americans were taught this when they were young in their schooling system. But now as we're moving along and growing with the internet and the political climate, I think this kind of place becomes more relevant, and I think we're going to see more younger generations get involved, like you guys. So this project, this is the Arai Pond. It's in Block 33. This garden here is up for full restoration. So the project that the students here and I are involved with are installing an irrigation so we can add 5 apple trees and also a lawn, because that's what a lot of people that were in camp, they want to see these gardens fully restored the way they looked like when they were children. So this garden and also 2 other ones are up for full restoration. Probably the timetable on that is for 3 of them 10 years. most realistically, considering our staff and our budget. So obviously when the camp started, there were thousands of people here working every day, and now we're in charge, or the National Park Service is in charge of kind of bringing back the natural beauty and the resilience of the Japanese people with a very low staff, which we rely heavily on volunteers like you guys to come and help us. And so we always welcome in volunteers, but realistically there's more work than we can handle, and so we are picking certain areas that kind of are easy for us to access, easy to maintain, and kind of still represent the lifestyle the Japanese people had while they were here.
February 19th, so just a month ago, President Franklin Roosevelt signed an order called Executive Order 9066, and that gave the military the ability to remove anyone that they wanted from the West Coast.
While we're lucky enough to have learned about this forgotten portion of the American history, there are still way too many people who do not know about this.
And there is still so much that we will need to do to raise awareness about the significance of these internment camps.